A very good evening to all of you, and welcome for our uh, fifth session of Divine Plunge. And I hope that all of you are staying safe and healthy, and all of you are having the sufficient sort of adaptability to this new normal now. So, I mean, so this, I mean, the hairstyle which I have is now, the hairstyles are actually now directly proportional to the lockdown understanding. So in Pune, we recently are going to have another strict lockdown of 15 days. So we thought that we should become Atmanirbhar in basically cutting our hair at least. So that's how it is. And okay, so a very warm welcome to all of you, and we'll be doing fifth chapter today, which is in some sense a deeper understanding of chapter three. Um, and it again, now most of the chapters actually the way it starts, it sort of like has um, um, the element of Arjuna inquiring more, going deeper into every chapter. Just like after Krishna spoke in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where he spoke extensively about the full coverage of spiritual life, Arjuna became confused because his confusion essentially was whether to fight or not fight. But Krishna took it at a very different level, that whole problem, and he wanted not to superficially treat his confusion, uh, because unless the misunderstanding is cleared, the problems may keep on recurring even for us, in different forms and shapes. So it's very important that we go to the root of the problem and not just treat anything superficially, just like the boil which comes in our body. And that boil essentially mm, is due to the impure blood. So one can as well have the the treatment of the boil superficially in terms of putting some ointment and all, but essentially one has to go deeper, understand, and treat his uh, treat his impurity in the blood, and thus the uh, uh, what we say, the once the blood is purified, the boil gets automatically cleared off. But if we superficially treat the boil due to impure blood, it may come at some other point, some other part of the body, like that. So in this way, uh, spirituality means rugged thinking. Spirituality doesn't mean usual thinking. Usual thinking is everybody wants to solve problems on an immediate basis. Everybody wants quick solutions to their problems. Everybody wants a very readily, on the plate kind of solutions, and then expecting that the problems will get solved. Uh, but that is not the case actually. So one has to be ready to go deeper in one's life, and that's what human form of life is meant for. That we don't actually treat it as uh, like probably like any other species of life. We don't understand the power which we are given, which is actually this whole intelligence, where we go deeper into the problems and not just solve it superficially. uh, if we don't leverage that intelligence, it will become very difficult for us to uh, for us to effectively remain happy. Okay, because as we discussed the other day, just like that high court judge is having much more facilities than a clerk, and if that judge doesn't use his facilities for the purpose which he is actually the responsibilities of being a judge, if he doesn't fulfill those things and use facilities in that and just enjoys the rights, associated with it, then it is a time will come, then the facilities will be taken away for that person. So if we see effectively, I think probably we are struggling much more than animals in some sense, because we are like, no, we don't, we see people, they're literally working whole life to build a flat, literally not having access to clean water, not having access to clean food, so much of poverty. We don't see animals committing suicide, by the way. So there are so many things which we are like, no, since we are not using our faculties properly, there is so much of chaos in our individual life, within our own life, in the family lives, in the social lives, in the national geopolitical scenarios, international, because we are not leveraging what we are supposed to. That's, so the human form of life is meant to go deeper, into the ground to dig oil, but basically to go deeper into our life, to search for what are the problems, what are the real problems of life, and not just superficially addressing something which is okay. Uh, and we also question, and the intelligent person will always question even the moves which happen around us, when we'll see that, no, somebody is just treating the problem in a very casual way, superficially. It keeps coming back, and it comes back in a much worse form. So, so Krishna didn't want. Krishna was a true friend. He was a true guide. He was a true mentor, and his idea was not to just uh, give Arjuna some overall guidance in terms of like, no, just fight, because if you don't fight, you will become infamous and all. He wanted to go to the root, because confusions in our life, the dilemmas in our life. Uh, in fact, we are facing dilemma every single day. So we are facing confusions every single day, and we are facing choices every single moment. When the understanding which we have about ourselves, about the objectives of our life, which are very, very temporary, which are very, very shallow, then obviously we will make wrong choices. We'll make uh, uh, we'll make we'll not be able to solve the confusions of our life. We may for time being, sort of put them under the carpet and all, and move on in our lives, but we'll see that it becomes difficult for us later on. So point is that, no, surgery. So we need a spiritual surgery in our life, wherein we go deeper, we understand what is the root cause, and that's what Krishna was doing. So in chapter 2, Krishna gave a full synopsis of spiritual life, complete synopsis. Chapter 3, which was, so we had doubt as the first, and then Gita as the second one. Then we had tree, that there are two duties which are to be performed, and then how there is this concept of the reactions and the exemplary, uh, behaving exemplarily, so like that. So basically the focus of that chapter was that act, uh, one should act, and one should act keeping in mind that we are soul and we are body, and we have to keep on performing these two duties for us, so that we are successful in our lives, both from material and spiritual perspective. But the point was not so clear, and so just like if I tell somebody that, no, if somebody wants to study, and I tell that, no, you should actually probably, go for a laptop, right? Okay, so go for a laptop, and that would be fine, and or go for some device. So then it's fine, but then what the device is all about, what that laptop, which company, what is going to suit me, all those things are not very clear. Which one is suited for me, what to do, and all those things. So similarly, the fourth chapter focused on ears, which is knowledge. Okay, so we discussed on the aspect of how that there's a need of the enlightenment, eternal education about about God, about this world, that how we have to accept this fact that we are not the creators of this world. Even those who are saying that God is not a creator. If they have not created, they have to accept what comes from scripture. So there's no proof. If so, the absence of proof, at least by you, doesn't mean that nobody has created. There's somebody. So Krishna is clearly saying that no, this is my creation, and Krishna clearly says that no, I keep coming to this creation, and that's why that verse of Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glani Bhavati Bharata, that whenever there is a decline of religion, what religion? The religion of spiritual duty. So you remember those two duties we are talking about. Everybody sort of know, more or less, do their duty about the body, but the duty of soul is completely forgotten. And this also leads to a lot of challenges. So the point which Krishna says is that no, that whenever there is a decline of that religion, which is the duty of soul, is not being performed by society at large, no, I come and I re-establish that religion. Okay, I re-establish that Glanir Bhavati Bharata, no, Sambhavami Yuge. Okay, so I keep coming whenever there is that decline of religion. I keep coming, and it is my creation, and this creation is meant to actually purify us. It is meant to actually teach us something. It's a school. It's a school to teach us that how we need to behave. Okay, how we need to behave in accordance with God. And when one understands uh, that how one needs to behave in this whole scheme of things, then obviously it becomes easier for us to operate. The school cooperates with us, the teachers love us, and the principal and everybody sort of becomes harmonious. But there will always be some notorious students who would not want to, who would like to do the exactly the opposite thing which the school wants them to do. Okay, so that you'll always find that element of rebellion and all which is there. But the point is, then that leads to anxiety. That may give some momentary, happiness for the student, but eventually it leads to a lot of eventually it leads to a lot of no disharmony, anxiety, and the problem for that particular child. Similarly, when we come in this material world, we are supposed to learn these lessons, which the material nature is teaching us, which the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita are teaching us. And if we don't accept those lessons, then it becomes difficult for us, because we are not just like this laptop where I'm speaking from. If there's a first laptop in this whole creation and I'm probably using it for the first time, but if I don't know how it works, if I don't know what to do in this and all those things, so I'll just make a mess out of this. I'll not be able to utilize this opportunity, and my whole experience basically becomes very, very poor, sub-rated. And I eventually may even go and tell that no, this laptop is absolutely bad. But the laptop is good, the use is there, everything is perfectly fine. The only thing missing is I'm not referring to a manual. I'm not referring to a particular um, uh, uh, know the authorized document of how to operate this laptop. Similarly, this material world, um, this world is not bad, and but as long as we operate it the way the operator is asking us to operate. So that's what comes in the second chapter. Then it also answers several questions which we discussed, that no accurate understanding in terms of that no, if God is one, then why so many religions are there? And that's a question so many people ask, that no, it's so confusing. No, somebody says he is God, somebody says he, but that's not the case actually. Um, God is always one, just like sun is one. It's not American sun or an Indian sun or a European sun. Sun is sun, and but the understanding, based on the understanding of the recipient, different religions are being formed. So that's how it is. So essentially, Krishna keeps on answering these questions. And after defining all these different aspects of why this world exists, and we are just supposed to act as a servant of Lord, and how if we just sort of not act for either good or like for our benefit only, and not as a sacrifice to God, since we are his servants, it's his creation, we are also his servant, and we are dealing with his creation, then it becomes very difficult. Then it is something goes wrong. So now, the fifth chapter, there's a confusion which again Arjuna has, and what he says is that, um, share my screen. So this was the, we've already discussed about this. So, so Arjuna became confused. He started thinking now uh, that before this, you told me one should act, do his duty. Now what you just told was that no, this world is mine, this creation, and you give so much knowledge about these things that knowledge means one will actually become renounce. Okay, one will give up. One will become detached. So now you were saying you should act. Then you gave me knowledge, and which means I should basically try to detach myself from this world, because any which ways it is your, so better your creation and all those things. So I should be, getting detached from this world. So what should I do? Should I act? Or if you're talking of knowledge, that means there has to be renunciation, which means inaction. So what should I exactly do? So that's the point. Now usually spirituality is compared. Usually the spirituality means knowledge and it means inactivity. Okay, sometimes some no people sort of misunderstand spirituality like that. So Arjun is actually asking us from our behalf. So basically we'll find two types of people in this world. Usually the one type of people, they feel that no, just do your duty, just do whatever we are like, no, we are let me no do it very nicely, let me, and they're fully absorbed in that. They're doing it very nicely, but then the understanding of what is this world all about, the goal of life, all those things are not there in their mind actually. So they often would come and say that no, that one has to act, this is given by God, only we act. So that is one kind, one type of people. Okay, so they just want to act, and not because necessarily God wants them to act in that way, but they want to act in that way, and then they think that the right path is just no, your work is worship types. Okay, so whatever I'm doing is the best and all those things. The second kind which is there is that no, who get some knowledge that this world is very very temporary. Essentially they had some very bad experiences in their life, and because of which they, if they take some spiritual knowledge from somewhere, they get attracted to this concept that better to be inactive, better to withdraw ourselves from the usual functionings of the world, and that is going to keep us happy. Okay, so one kind is thinking I'll become happy by working hard, getting the results, enjoying those results. I have to work hard because no, even Bhagavad Gita in scriptures it is told that one should work. Krishna told Arjuna to fight. So I'll fight and I'll whatever, no, I'll get the results and I'll enjoy. The second type, they want to be happy because they had some experiences in their life wherein some relationships didn't work or some things didn't work for them in the world, and they sort of try to withdraw themselves from this whole thing and become more sort of pronounced. So they basically feel that this kind of working is not good. It's actually it's foolishness. It's not that good, and they try to find happiness in inaction. So to say inaction. So some people might also come and say that no, you guys are don't not working anything, and no, see we guys are working. The common fault in both these things is, or both these types is that no, both of these types they are thinking about their happiness. So I am happy by working hard and getting the results and enjoying it. When I don't get results as I expected or as much as effort I had put, so then a feeling comes, and I also get to hear something that life is so temporary and no, we anyways have to die and all those things. And so that knowledge leads to inaction. Okay? And then I find happiness in being inactive and not being engaged thoroughly. So this is a common misunderstanding of either this or spirituality means this, that no one has to be actually more inactive, or it is more like no, spirituality is like a break from the usual. No, when I get tired from this, then I take a break, and no, I find some pleasure over here, then I go back on Monday, and like this. So it's like a pendulum. Okay, so we start here, we go there, we start here, we like this. It just keeps on happening. Actual spirituality lies in between, and it is only possible to lie in between when we don't act for our happiness, we act for the happiness of Lord. An example, let's say we go on a road and we find 100 rupees note. One person will take that note, put it in the pocket, go ahead, enjoy. Anyways, it's on road. It's not that I took it from someone. Somebody has forgotten it. I don't know who has it and whatever it is. Thus, it's an easy way, of course. The second is I see that note. Oh, it's not mine. Let it be. I go ahead. The third is we pick up that note and give it to the person or to whom it belongs to. So we recognize the owner of that note and we give it back to that person. Okay. So knowledge means not that only understanding it is not mine. Knowledge means that's okay, but the better level of knowledge is it belongs to giving it to its real owner. So similarly, whatever we are seeing around, even our own bodies, if we effectively see, people burn, eventually this body goes back to the earth, material nature. So all these different so we don't own this body any which ways, right? We don't control the functioning of this body which we are actually sitting inside. Nobody can control that how long no, we want to stay in this body. It's just predestined. So it's not actually, we are not there, just like a tenant in a flat. Okay. A tenant cannot decide that, okay, I'll stay here for, like, let's say next 4 years. No. A tenant may during his stay start to believe that no, this house is mine only. But anytime landlord may come and say that please vacate. Similarly, this body, we are staying in this body and appears it's ours, and similarly things related to our body definitely, but it may happen anytime, just like the tenant is being asked to vacate. Similarly, we can be also asked to vacate this body. And no matter when person is atheist, downright atheist, or agnostic, or theist, or religious, or irreligious, any type of person, nobody can guarantee that I'm going to live till this point of time. So we have no control on this body. We have no control on the functioning of this body. We have no control on how long we want to stay in this body. So we have no control at all. So who has control? If I don't have control, definitely the person next door is not having control. So who is having control? The control is with the creator of this body, the owner of this body, and that is God himself. So if I don't recognize this ownership and I don't use this body, which is not actually in my ownership, but in my care, if I don't use it for the service of Lord, then it's as good as just being, completely, that note, right? I just take that note and put it inside and go away, right? So, so this is a very fundamental and foundational understanding in, so to say, karma yoga, which we talk of, like no, the karma yoga or the buddhi yoga, that we recognize, we act because we cannot remain without action. See, you must be realizing on that after having a heavy no week, no, we relax, no, have a weekend, no, relax, but then after 2 3 days of holidays we want to work back again, because we can't stay inactive. Even though we have knowledge, we can never stay inactive. So action is something which is core to soul, because soul, Please remember, we all are soul and not this body, and soul is the active principle within this body. Soul is life. So we can never be inactive. All we can be is active in real knowledge. Active in real knowledge. That is what Bhagavad Gita is teaching us. That is what is yoga. It's not that we remain like this, and whenever there are some challenges, which of course we are going to face because we are not recognizing the owner, and obviously we'll always be in anxiety. Just like a thief is always in anxiety, right? A thief will never be peaceful. We recently had, like, we see so many cases and all, where some of the thieves and all, or whatever, the no, the antisocial elements, no, they keep running in their lives. They may be having everything, but they keep running in their lives. Similarly, we face anxiety because we don't recognize the true owner of us, our body, our scenario, our surroundings, everything. um, we don't recognize the true owner. So when we don't recognize the true owner and don't engage our energy in accordance with how he wants us to use this body and facilities, then if we are not using it for him, we are using it for us. And if we are using it for us, that means we are thieves, and a thief cannot be happy. When we used to stay up north, I used to, remember distinctly in my childhood days. So people used to have, there was a concept of bijli chori. I'm sure it must be there even now. So people used to put the wire into some other wire, and then they used to play it. But they were always in anxiety. Tomorrow, if some person comes from the government and he checks, and then what to do? You can never be as peaceful as a person who has recognized this. Electricity is not mine. This belongs to government. They have put a meter, and I'm paying the bills. Very, very clear. It's very, very clear. So the anxiety which we are facing, or the fear which we are facing, is because of the forgetfulness of position of Krishna, God in our lives. That is why there is fear. That is why there is anxiety, right? Because if we actually, and that is what it means to, so we do our part. Just like as a tenant, if I recognize my, no, so if there is a owner of the flat, you may recognize that at that point. But then uh, it's not that you stop staying, but you understand, okay, it's not mine, I'll keep this flat nicely. You do all the same things, but you recognize that no, it's someone else's. Okay. And you keep it nicely, and you keep and the landlord is also happy, the relationship goes fine. Okay. So similarly, when we are also not really, when we recognize this aspect that no, that Krishna is actually the owner of our body, and we also have a role to play, since we are at least temporarily staying in this body. So we are controlling, right? I want to cut vegetables, I can use this body to cut. So that free will Krishna is giving us, but then we should use this free will to remain in alliance with his will of how it is. And then we will feel happy, satisfied. We are loyal. We are clear from our side that I am using my life in the service of the Lord, in accordance with the laws of the God. When that feeling is there, when that happiness is there, that peace is there, then that is unbelievable. Okay. On the other hand, no, I'm using this body, and no, I have a huge number of possessions and all those things, but this knowledge is not there. This knowledge is not there. This is not mine. This is actually Lord's. And how it is of Lord's, not just for sake of saying it is there, but actually how it is, and operating in that way in our lives, approaching things in that ways in our life. It may appear very, very basic, but it makes a huge difference. And then it becomes very easy, very convenient for us. On the other hand, if we have a lot of things and all we don't recognize, then there's always that anxiety in our heart of losing out on things. This because it's mine, so I can't lose it, so I'll always keep on lamenting those what I'll lose. I'll keep on hankering, this is what I want to get, and all those things. But imagine a scenario where I recognize the position of God. I I do my duty nicely, positively, obviously I get the facilities, whatever I need. In fact, that is a promise which Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita. For one who is engaged in this way, in this world, I will carry whatever they lack and I'll preserve whatever they have. So this is a guarantee that no, because these are the two concerns whether we have, what will happen to my wants and what will happen to the things which I have. Okay. So Krishna says that no, I'll preserve whatever we have, whatever you have, and I'll carry whatever you lack. So that's what the owner, that's why he's owner. He's owner, so he can do it, right? We can't do it. Okay. So we have to think for ourselves what is a better way of operating in life, this or that. Okay. So that's the point. This chapter is called step. Just like we had doubt, we had Gita, we had tree, we had ears. This chapter is called step. So this is a step we are taking up in our spiritual life. So till now it was more like no building blocks of what we are having, and now we take a step ahead in our lives. So the first instruction when Arjuna asks to Krishna that no, what is better, knowledge or inaction due to knowledge, or action, as you told, I am not able to understand, I am not able to reconcile these two things, that one can be active also and at the same time in no, also be knowledge. And how are these two things possible? No, if you're saying this world is temporary, still you act like that. No, it's easy like to operate like a Duryodhan. No, he knew that no, this is all in all. No, I want to win the war and I want to complete everything. This is my kingdom and this is mine everything. So that's easy platform. No, it's very okay, fine, okay to clear. But that's easy way to go down. Okay. But a difficult thing is that no, one has to act, which one is supposed to. Initially, it is a practice, it is a difficult thing, which Krishna keeps on explaining this thing to Arjuna. But that's the way to go up. That is, we act, but we act in knowledge. So the first is S stands for stay in the world. So Krishna first of all clarifies that you can never be inactive. Okay, you can never be inactive. Best is be active, but be active for me. Then he explains this concept further. Okay, if I have to act in this world, uh, who all are actually acting? So Krishna gives the concept of three doers. So usually we think I have done something, but then actually there are three doers. So Krishna explained the concept of three doers, and that he does. The first stay in the world is explained from verses 1 to 12. The T three doers is 13 to 16, and then there is equal vision. Equal vision means if one understands how to, why to operate in this platform and the concept of three doers, then it is possible to have equal vision. So this is very important, where know how actually everybody is equal. So equality which everybody is actually talking about is only possible at a spiritual level. Okay, because all of us, maybe whatever externally, of whatever sect, whatever gender, of whatever nationality, but all of us are actually souls. So that knowledge of being a soul and all of us being the servant of God is the true platform of equality, and that is what Krishna explains. And then when one gets that, there is peace. So there's a peace formula. That's just one verse which talks of the peace formula. Okay, so so in this way we'll proceed. So very quickly, no, we'll no, just I'll briefly touch upon the first SNT, which I've done. S I have already touched upon, that one has to stay in the world like a lotus flower. Just like lotus flower comes in lot of mud around and not really good, but one is not touched by the dirt around. Okay, so similarly one has to act uh, like one is supposed to act in his position, like a warrior. In case of Arjuna, somebody may be a student, he's supposed to act nicely as a student. Somebody may be a housewife, act supposed to act like a housewife. Somebody may be a father, a mother, or they have to do their duties very very nicely, with an understanding that I am essentially servant of God, and whatever I'm doing is actually a service as a service, no, is a service given to me by God, and I'm executing it as a service to Him. Okay. So that knowledge, why? Because He is owning me, and He's owning my body, He's owning everything. So it's my duty, since I am His servant, I have to engage everything, whatever He's giving to me for His service. Okay. So that's stay in the world. Three doers. The first doer is we, us, individual soul. The second doer is God Himself. And actually, there's a feature of God called Paramatma. So all of us know about it, that know that how Paramatma is staying inside everyone's heart. So Paramatma is staying inside everyone's. Why the slides are not changing? Sorry, there is a. Technical glitch. These slides are not changing, so hopefully now it will change. So this was the summary session. Okay, so we are here. Okay. So the three doers is uh, the soul, the second is Paramatma, and the third is the nature around us. Okay. So if let's take an example of doing anything. What is the role of individual soul? That he makes a choice. He makes a desire that I have to do something. I have to pick up, let's say, this Fevicol. Okay. This is an action which I did, right? Um, Now, who is the doer involved in this? I am definitely there as an individual soul. But the second important doer is called Paramatma. What Paramatma does? Paramatma gives the sanction to me for doing that act. Okay, so allowed, fine, do that act. And the third is material nature. So I basically use my body. I use this, which is made up of matter, this whole bottle, and I pick it up. So there is a facility given to me in form of the energy in my hand, and my hand itself, fingers, and there is this whole mechanics of by which I can hold this, bring it back. It's not like water. I can always hold this, bring it back, and keep it over here. So there are three doers: individual soul, Paramatma, and material nature. Now, Paramatma, the super soul within our heart, one may say that no, I don't seek his permission. He anyways gives it to me. But there are so many people who keep on desiring something, but they are not able to do it. Do those things. It is because of the sanction of Paramatma not being there. Okay, so somebody may want to do something, but like there may be just the desire is not sufficient. That has to be sanctioned by the Lord. This may also bring some question to us that no, then how do people do bad things to others? Is that also sanctioned by Paramatma? Actually, we see we can obviously reflect in our lives. Whenever we've tried doing anything wrong in our lives, ever, if we go back to that point, now if we are used to doing something wrong, it's fine. But when we first started doing it, there was always a resistance within our heart. We should not be doing it. That is coming from Paramatma, that we should not be doing anything wrong. But please remember, we are given this free will, we are given this independence. If we persist, then it is allowed. Just like a city, in a city, there are laws and there are always sufficient motivation given to follow those laws, and there are sufficient inhibitions given of breaking the laws. So somebody who breaks a law thinks about it for some time, right, before breaking it, but he does it for whatever reason. So then there is a punishment. Okay. So that's how it is. Okay. But it's not that one can say that, oh, wow, if there is a police in the city, then nobody can break law. Or if somebody is breaking law, means there is no police or there is no government. That's not the point. Okay, that's not the point at all. The third is equal vision. Okay, so when we recognize there is Lord, there is material nature. Okay, we all are soul. There's a possibility of having equal vision. This is one of the famous verse which comes of on equal vision. It is called Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastine Suni Chaiva Swapakya Pandita Samadarshina. So this Pandit is not the caste Pandit. This Pandit is Pandit actual in actual, no one who is in knowledge. He understands that there is no difference essentially between a cow, a brahmana, an elephant, dog. So basically, they're talking of the whole variety. Okay. So there is no, when we are saying brahmana, again, it's not a caste brahmana. It is, it's talking of those who are actually having the right knowledge of spiritual life. So this big spectrum, there is actually no difference. Essentially, all of them are soul, but we see a difference, and we can't actually go and embrace a tiger and probably like, no, our kid, uh, oh, everybody is same Pandita Samadarshina. No, we have to deal with them differently because of the difference in their body. But essentially, everybody is soul. Okay, and the body also which somebody gets is by the dint of their association with the material nature, okay, or the kind of desires they wanted to sort of have. So that body is also temporary. Tomorrow they'll get another body and so on and so forth. Okay, so point is that no, the difference what we are seeing is because of material nature, which of course is giving um, bodies to everyone. Okay, so by material nature we mean is the whole matter which we see. Okay, and the fire, air, ether, uh, water, and earth. So these are the five elements of which everybody's body is being made. Okay, now the, of course, the variety of body changes based on whatever body one wants to enjoy. Just like you go to a restaurant and there's a menu card. You want kadai paneer, okay, pay this much. You want chapati, pay this much. Okay, similarly, based on one's desire to enjoy this world, one gets the body, suitable body. Okay, uh, of course, how much money we have, that also matters. Okay, so that's what karma is. Okay, that's what karma is. So I may desire something but you may not get, uh, uh, because it depends on how much I deserve also. So desiring and deserving, both these things are being taken care of to get a particular facility like our bodies. But essentially, soul, there's no difference. And this is what it is. So uh, when a person comes to this understanding that we are soul, and we are supposed to act in accordance with God, and we understand that how we are not the doers, every any action which we are undertaking is ultimately we have to take sanction of Supreme Lord, and we are answerable to him, and we use the facility being given by God himself to execute that activity. Now, when that happens, then that person actually becomes intelligent, because what that intelligent person is going to do, he is not going to get into finding pleasure in this world. Obviously, because if I understand that no, I am not the only doer, I am a stakeholder in a particular activity, so obviously I'll think about who is the ultimate doer and I'll think about his benefit. When that knowledge is not there, then obviously one will think I am the doer, so whatever I am doing I should be enjoying. But that is a source of misery, is what comes in this verse. Okay, dukha yona evate. So such kind of mentality is a source of misery, is a source of sadness. What? That I am the doer and I am going to enjoy. Intelligent person understands that this mentality will eventually lead to misery, and thus he avoids such mentality. And this is that verse 29, and that step ka P, which is that peace formula, is what it is here. And this is a peace formula. All of us can see it, recite it. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhirdam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. So Krishna is saying that Please understand the, after explaining so many things, Krishna is saying, understand that bhoktaram yajna tapasam. So whatever uh, sacrifices anybody does, whatever austerities, whatever anybody does, one should do all those things keeping in mind that I am the ultimate beneficiary of those things. So you're getting the point, those three doers, ultimately it's Lord. So whatever comes as a result of our activity, ultimately he should be beneficial. In our good old days, also this concept was there that whatever good you get, some good result, you used to put that report card at the in the temple. So simple acknowledging this fact that no, ultimately, no, Lord, it is no, for his pleasure or for him, as a gratitude towards him, no, I did whatever I did and it is actually his. It's not that report card doesn't come back to us. No, it's not that no, it will go in and no, in the temple it will never come. It comes back to us, but it becomes prasad. Okay, otherwise I was just eating and otherwise I was just thinking it's me, it's mine, it's. But when anything we offer to Lord, be it anything, food, uh, our results of our activities, but when we learn to offer it to Lord, it's not that Lord takes it, because Lord doesn't need it. It's not that Lord wants it. He's full in himself, just like a father is full in himself, and father gives the money and the child goes and buys a chocolate and whatever, like, no, and he gives it to the father. It's not that father needs it, but when he does that, there's a relationship which gets built, and that relationship is something which is the most satisfying thing. Okay, that is something which will give us the maximum happiness. Okay, when we develop that relationship with God. So it's not that when we give something we are not going to get it back. We'll get it back. It's not that it's going to go away. But what we get back is not just that thing, but along with that thing, we get the love of God with that thing, which when we use that and that love comes in our heart, we would want to do something more again for him. Okay, so that gives peace. And he sings, why bhoktaragya sarva loka maheshwaram. I am the, whatever loka, whatever planets you see, I am the one who is owning everything. Everything belongs to me. Suhurdam sarva bhutanam. And the best part, the best news is, I am the most well-wishing friend of everyone. No matter if we are bad, sometimes we think we are so bad, we have no hope. But even if we are worst, but if we take shelter of Lord, thinking that, oh Lord, you are my most well-wishing friend, I want to be with you. Now on, I will just do whatever you say with whatever background it. He can just wipe our background, our negativity, like we wipe on a whiteboard anything which is being put by a marker. We wipe everything. He can wipe everything. Okay, because he's our most well-wishing friend. He just wants us to be happy. This faith we should have. God wants nothing else but us to become happy. Just like a father wants his kids to be happy. He may be strict, he may be disciplined, he may be saying do this, do don't do this, but ultimately he wants to see his kids happy. Okay, the mother wants to see her kids happy. Okay, so that's what the nature of Lord is. We are dependent on Lord, so Lord also wants to see us happy. Okay, he'll give us that happy. Only thing is we have to recognize that he is bhuktaram yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram surya sarvabhutaram. What happens? One who understands this, gyatva mam shantim richati, one gets peace. So we are running after peace. There is so much of, we have peace universities also now, but this is the peace formula. We cannot be peaceful if we don't recognize the ownership, the position of God, and if we don't operate for him. How to operate for him, how to serve him, that we are going to discuss in the subsequent chapter. What it means to actually serve, what are his laws, what he exactly wants from us. Now, Bhagavad Gita is going to talk about that confidential subject matter subsequently. Okay. We'll stop here. If there are any questions in the comment box, we'll take it. Else we'll close it over here. Okay. So, since there are no questions, we'll move ahead, and we'll see you tomorrow in our session 6, which is going to be sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Now we have covered 5 chapters. Doubt, the first chapter, where Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra and Arjun, they were in doubt. Then Gita, where Arjun surrenders to Krishna as a teacher. Krishna gives him knowledge. Then it came as tree, where Krishna explains that you have two duties to perform always. So you cannot give up either of them. You have to keep performing your two duties. And then when one does that, how to do that, with what knowledge, that comes in chapter 4, which is ears, where one gets the knowledge about God himself, about this creation, a more deeper understanding of not just us as soul, but also about this whole world, role of God, role of this world, role of us in this world. All these things become even more clearer. And then we move to chapter 5, which is, now that there is knowledge, there is action which one has to do. So how to act in knowledge, that is being covered in chapter 5. And when one does that in that Krishna consciousness, if one acts in that mentality, then there is peace, which is the ultimate benefit which one gets after acting in that way, since action nobody can stop. Okay. So thank you all very much. See you next week. See you tomorrow, and with that we'll finish chapter 6. Okay. Thank you. Thank you all very much.